Hello people, and welcome back to part 33 of Palaven, our vanilla Cities Skylines build. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And thank you for all the support on Sunday's live stream. We did some really nice jobs, really nice. We came through with a bridge into the amusement park here. Had a little bit of a fight with the riverbed and how it was making the bridge sit, but I think I'm happy with it overall. It fits into the skyline really nicely. And we also sunk this rail line here too under the bridge, which worked out tremendously well. I sunk the cycleway beneath and added some Palaven pines in, and it just frames the downtown skyline like perfectly. It's really nice. I'm super happy with it. Also, we have begun to hook the ring road directly into the highway at a number of places where we can now see it's getting some use, which is tremendous. All helping spread the weight of the traffic around the downtown, you know? Not everyone's trying to bottleneck through this junction to get off right now. So it's super useful. And these will appear at a couple of places as the highway passes through the downtown, including over here too, once we come over to this part of the city to build in it. And we also did the most loveliest bit of like hand finished detailing here. Doing some like vineyard type designs here with some trees, paths and fences up alongside this bit of dead space that we had between the highway and Dawson. And it's just lovely. Train line cuts through as well. It really is just a real secret blend of herbs and spices, and we'll probably run this as Spice of the Month, some kind of repeated pattern, and see what kind of spaces you guys can squeeze them into. I think that'd be really cool. So super happy with this. Thanks for all the support on the stream as always. Very much appreciate it. But in today's episode, it's time, finally, to work on some ferry stops, because we currently only have 3. One at Dawson Waterfront, one at the Green Cities Town Centre, and then one over here. So this is kind of what we want, right? These little like blots of light and kind of activity to appear along Palaven's shoreline kind of represents a ferry stop. So we're going to add maybe 4 or 5 in today and use some unique buildings in them, focus on some nice cute designs, and see what we can come up with. So we'll go ahead and get started with Palaven's ferry stop, shall we? There's a perfect little spot for a ferry stop right here. We're going to come out with our larger tool and just terraform out a little bit of landscape for us to work with here. Nothing too serious. Now this will be a fairly smaller one, you know, it's a little kind of residential ferry stop. It won't be as grand as some of the downtown ones, but we'll see what we can do with it. We'll come up with some nice little designs today, I think. Lots of park assets in here, lots of detailing, some keys probably too. Look at that wave, man. That boat just absolutely rode that. Crazy. Welcome to Palaven, everyone. Welcome to Palaven. Okay, so this should be a sensible landmass for what I'm after right now, and then we'll come in with our slope terrain tool. Palaven has flooded slightly, but it's fine. And then we'll just make a little bit of like bank for our road to come down here, and that should do nicely. Come into our ships, of course. We're just going to use a regular ferry stop for this one right here, I think. Of course, we'll need to just temporarily break the lines while we place in our new one. And I think what we'll do with the landmass is where the ferries are actually going to stop, we'll just kind of jut out a tiny little bit further than the rest of the little bit of land that we're digging out here. Just kind of see how it goes. Tidy up some of that, and then we'll come in and grab our regular ferry stop. Now there's going to be a lot of water waiting in this episode, I feel, but we will get there. We will get there. And then we'll come in with a little ferry stop like that. This is going to blend quite nicely into kind of Palaven's little skyline that we've got going on here. Okay, so as people are leaving via the ferry, we'll also give them kind of the priority as they head out. And then we'll come down, I think, with just some grassy roads here. We want to kind of bear in mind all these places that we're building in today. You know, we want to maintain those themes. Palaven's very lush and kind of forest-like, so we want its ferry stop to be like that as well. Okay. It's a little bit of a landmass. Let's have a look at some keys, maybe. Although I guess in Palaven we haven't really used keys anywhere. It is this very kind of raw shoreline, all overgrown, and we do have this little green belt pattern that's repeating in a number of places around Palaven too. Man, that water really messed it up, didn't it? It's totally like displaced Palaven. It does calm down, I promise. It will all eventually return to normal. Like this one has here, but yeah. Quite volatile. Okay, with that in mind then, I think we'll leave the keys for this one. We'll probably use the keys over in the downtown one, I think. And then we'll just start to create kind of a little bit of spice and decoration. Let's maybe decide on an asset that we want to use in here first. I think we'll probably go for something green cities while we're here. Maybe like a tropical garden. We can squeeze that in. Okay. And then we'll come through with our nature reserve path with decorations. This is the one that we've been using for the majority of Palaven, so again, we'll make sure that we just keep with it here. And then where we do have the very obvious edge between the water and the rest of the infrastructure, we'll come through with some classic fence detailing, of course. And I think we'll also just draw out the road this side a little bit as well, because it'll give us some opportunities for just a little bit of commercial zoning, nothing too serious. Just like maybe a little shop or a couple of park life assets perhaps. There's a couple of different things we can place in here. Maybe go for some zoo stuff while we're near Palaven. Maybe like a little souvenir shop, almost to act as like a ticket office perhaps. Maybe a restroom behind it. And again, maintaining our same palette, we're going to come through with some happy little nature reserve paths. Yes, please. Yes, please. And then, do we have any fences in Palaven right now? I don't think we do. I think I've used. Oh yeah, I do have fences here. Yeah, okay. So we're using the nature reserve fence for this Green Cities district. Again, just kind of double checking our tree palette. It's very very heavy on the conifers and the Palaven pines in this area. So I think we'll come through with a couple of little conifers here. Here we have 1, 2, and 3 either side. Okay. And then where we're a little more kind of overgrown, we'll come through with different sizes. Of course, these leaves will grow. It's just because we've terraformed right now that they're not there. And I think we'll actually continue the fence all the way along the shore instead of a key. And then we'll have a little discussion about some commercial zoning. I think we'll just run in to find it. We'll grab ourselves a little growable asset. Like a little wine and liquor store maybe. A couple of these little cuter smaller ones. Maybe something like this. You know, just some very small low density commercial to accompany a little ferry port here. Okay. It's going to be a very detail heavy episode, guys. In case you haven't figured that already, we're going to be doing a lot of this stuff, but I think that's why we're here. I think that's why we're here. We'll also use some of these stuff as well today. The little like miscellaneous props and stuff. Get some of these in. Little fountains and stuff like that. Pretty cute. Save some of this stuff for the downtown arena. And then just a mix and match of Palaven's tree palette. Here we have another Palaven pine in here as well. Okay, and before we know it, we've just kind of generated a little bit of land with a touch of personality about it. And a little bit of commercial. It'll look a lot better once these trees come back to life, once the land realises where it is. But I think that's quite special. I'm quite happy with that. It's very nice. It's very Palaven, isn't it? Especially with that little pop of colour from the tropical garden. Yeah. Wonderful. So, let's grab our ferry lines. We'll come through here. And here. And then that can continue. And then we can move on to the next one. Okay, so the next ferry stop I'm thinking we're going to place here. With this little bit of land that we left near Fishing Marina. just a little bit kind of on its own, isn't it? And we went with some very generic kind of rock and tree overgrowth here, which is time to clear out now. And then we'll come back and terraform. There's actually a massive hole in the floor here. It was intentional, it was a design choice. Okay. So again, terraforming. And I'll try and explain my terraforming a little bit here. I know some of you have difficulty with the terraforming tools. If you're wanting to level out an area like I am now, if you're on keyboard, using your level terrain tool, the intensity will obviously, you know, dictate how harsh it does whatever this tool is doing. But if you right click the area that you want to set that height to, and then left click and drag, it'll draw out from that height. I know a couple of people in live streams have mentioned they have a little bit of difficulty with the vanilla terraforming tools. It does take a while to get used to be fair. But practice makes perfect, right? Okay, so let's continue to bring this out. We'll have this one just go off that level there. We'll wait for the water to lose its mind. And then we can begin to add in some Ferry spice here. And because we're near kind of some industrial buildings here, I think I'm going to make this quite a little industrial kind of port here, but for the ferry stop. So let's come out with an industrial road. And we might change this at a later date. I guess we'll kind of see what pans out. And how about a little roundabout? Just a little small man-made one. I mean, all roundabouts are man-made, but, you know, little kind of hand-drawn one. So if we come out by little bits like this, give ourselves a little roundabout, and then we'll just come in with a regular road to hook the ferry stop in. And then from this side we'll start to include some slightly more industrious assets and see if we can kind of expand this fishing marina vibe that we've got going on here. So I think what we'll do with this particular vibe is actually come through and make almost like a tiny, very tiny office park. So if we come through here and then we'll grab our eco stuff. Again, you can do this by setting a green cities local and organic produce district and then building 2x2 zonings to generate these car parks. You can also do 2x3 and 4x2 as well, I believe. Just to have a little bit of car parking space, that's fine. We'll just have a little fly through with some of our office zonings and mix and match a couple of just pretty generic kind of office assets here, nothing too over the top. And then maybe just a couple of those kind of trees like that. Again, what we kind of palette we use around here, it's a lot of these trees in this kind of open field. So we'll just kind of decorate up against the back edge of the highway with them. Or this is the start of the ring road, I suppose. And just so it's not the same tree asset all the way through, we'll just mooch through with a little bit of a different asset also. Okay. Just like a very tiny office park to accompany the fishing marina, almost as like admin, you know, a little bit of admin. And then in terms of the ferry stop, I believe we have a bus line near here, right? Yes, we do. So we could actually bring a stop on this bus line. Stop right outside the ferry. So we're going to help link two methods of public transport together, which is always appreciated, of course. And then the path that we've used over here, this is just generic park path without decorations. That's fine, we can continue to use that. And then we'll just have a couple of little repeated path patterns. Of course, they'll have to walk around the edge to cross over, but they should do here. And the fence that we've used here, I think it's just generic park life fence, is it? It's nothing, very random bit of fence here, actually. Yeah, so we're just using generic park life fencing for this one. You know, and especially when we're coming back into areas like this that we haven't worked on for a while, it's important that we maintain the same kind of palettes and designs and ideas that we originally formulated. Because I think when we do that, it just helps to add a little more cohesion to the area. That makes any sense at all. We can just kind of break the little pattern there. And then we'll come through with maybe a little bit of the old repeated conifer spice. Just directly outside of our ferry stop here. Okay, and then as always, we'll just temporarily fracture our ferry line here. And then bring it back in as smoothly as we can. That should be okay. And we hook it back in there. So starting to get some little buses appear around here now. And again, we do have keys within the inner marina. And it's probably a wise idea to run the keys up to here. But I like this little overgrown bit and I like the keys to end there. So where we have a little fence barrier here. It'll come through on a little bit of an angle. And then we'll just fence off the rest of the land until we come down this side. And maybe we can flesh out with a little bit of part life asset fun. Maybe go for like a cafe in the middle. And again, a little bit of the old faithful palette here. Maybe it's adding a couple of drops of colour here and there too. So we're not totally green everywhere. Okay. Nice little bit of design. May even feed the buses through to this street here, and then they can just loop around the car park. I think I will prefer that aesthetic, and then we can actually see people moving between the paths then too, which will be nice, even though they are already using them. Welcome to the new ferry stop, sir. There he goes. Oh, he's disappeared. Anyway. Okay, and then again what we'll do is, I think because it's kind of roundabout spice of the month at the minute, is we'll just elevate the centre of our roundabout. And because we didn't use the U's on the dumbbell interchange, we'll have one here instead. And just surround with some really basic, simple, repeated roundabout push spice. Okay, don't mind that. Nice little ferry design. Nice little ferry design, I think. I'm a little bit concerned about this. The salmon boats clipping through the ferries. It's a little bit kind of immersion breaking, but I think we can cope with it. I think we can. Okay, also drag the stop onto this one as well. There we go. We should see some people arrive at the ferry port here now. And that's going to be ferry port number 2 done. Of course, we'll come back through in the detail in time lapse and clean up some of these empty spaces with some little things, but we're going to get some people walking around here, which is nice. The traffic into the ring road isn't too bad here either. I do really like this view with the sound barriers into the ring. It's a nice little junction, this one. It's quite nice. Okay, anyway, that's fine. We'll now continue down the river network. And I think I do want one here in amongst all this transport infrastructure. So we have the monorails and the metro stations here. The transport hub will eventually reside here. So it would make sense for us to have like a ferry port right here. And then we can almost link them through with like bridges over the top, little walking bridges, and feed them into this ring road as well. I think that'd be quite nice. So I think that's what we'll do. So I guess the choice now is as to where to hook it in. I think probably this side of the monorail, lining up with this kind of central road, is going to be the best point. So first of all, we'll start by breaking out a section of our key and taking away all our repeated conifer spice as well. And terraforming tools, and again I want to level off to the height of the ring road. So I'm going to right click the ring road and then just draw out Of course, we need some soil. Let's go and raid Mount Palaven. Just absolutely annihilate this mountain every time we need soil. But it's fine, don't worry. Okay, and then we'll just keep pushing out here. Just because we're filling in a fairly chunky portion of the river, we'll just take a hot minute to stabilize out. It's going to be nice having the monorail integrated into this as well. I'm kind of seeing the monorails flow over with the road traffic too. It's going to be quite nice. Okay, so the ring road will flood temporarily, as always, and then we can just terraform against them, which will make it easier to align our keys once we kind of have dedicated landmass in that we want. Super. Wonderful. So, delete my keys now, and then let's go ahead and grab the key again. Now, we'll bring this one back. Of course, we want road guideline on because we're snapping to the road guideline of the dirt roads that we've drawn in. So, just give it a second. It does do it. It can just take a while. Okay, so it's in now. That's wonderful. Come and use our slope tool to tidy up all this dirt that sits up against the keys for my terraforming. And push it all back a little bit here. We can see as little of it as possible. And that should be quite nice, just sat there by itself like that. Also a little nicer when the water calms down. Come through with another little ferry stop. Make sure that our land is kind of not losing its mind all the time. Clean out a little bit of this trees while we prepare the road network. And of course, we'll want water and power down here. In terms of power, we'll probably just use an earthquake center to link people through from the downtown. Nearest assets to power it will be here eventually. But we'll cover that when we get to it. And then we can just come back with our little conifer pattern. And we'll probably bend this around the actual ferry port itself now, just so it carries on either side of it. And I think we will also get the monorail kind of flowing here, so we can get an idea what it's going to look like. Love how many people are using this cycle bridge, by the way. Does need a little bit of sorting out, it's a little bit kinky, but who's complaining about that, right? Especially with the skyline in the backdrop there with the bridge, right? A real secret blend of 11 herbs and spices, everyone. Really is. And Zoo Plaza, perhaps. So, a little plaza out the front here, nothing too serious. Of course, we do want some elevated walkways, so let's discuss the possibility of that. Let's bring down our elevation. So just with our angle and grid, we'll move out by 82. Seems a sensible option. And then come up again. And then we'll take off grid as we cross over the ring metro. We'll come up by one. And then that'll allow people to walk over to the ferry port and then into the rest of the downtown, where they'll join the cycle network. Or they can take a short walk down these paths and eventually join the transport hub to take them, you know, anywhere they want to go, really. So we'll see how that little bridge idea works. It's another layer of transport height in there as well, isn't it? You know, it's this view right here with the monorail, the metro, the road, the ring road, the ring metro, ferry. It's just pure transport porn, and it really gets me going. Oh yes, especially with the metro car going underneath. Yeah, this is exactly the vibe I wanted to be created in Palaven, and it's nice to see it working. Please excuse my excitement. Okay, let's get a monorail running back and two between here. Won't have many passengers yet, of course, because the other end of it isn't really hooked in, and you know, there's not much cause for people to kind of move over there. But let's see if we can time a monorail with metro car here. Yes, please. There it is. There it is. Nice, I'm happy with that. I'm happy. Plenty of details come through here as well. We'll probably do a lot of fence stuff around this point. Super. So we'll link through with a couple of earthquake sensors. We'll obviously kind of help blend these in a little bit more than they are right now. But just so the ferry port has power, at least for the meantime, it'll work. And then, of course, let's not forget to actually hook it into the ferry line. And then we'll carry on, shall we? I think this is probably going to be it for this side of the river, at least for this river. I guess this counts as a separate river, right? Comes from a different area. So we started designing this ferry port in a stream, but it does need to be returned to be worked on a little bit. It's not quite the finished product just yet. I know we've got a little bit of space that we want to be working with over here, and I think we're just going to do like a little bit like a sports complex, maybe. A bit of a sports complex build. Guess we'll see how it turns out. A couple of tennis courts and basketball courts near each other. Let's terraform more than we need to, so we have enough room. And then we'll bring this road out a little bit further. Wonderful. Come back in and grab another tennis court. Okay, and then what I want to do in between them is we'll grab a little pathway, bring that out a little further, and then we'll switch to a little basketball court here as well. Now, I'm guessing we probably won't have enough room to squeeze another one here, but yeah, we should be able to. I think that's okay. We'll draw them through. And then where we don't really want a path here, there's no point. Golden space is where we can squeeze them in. And then trim off this road network. Just give us a nice little sports and recreation centre. And I think I'm also feeling maybe a little bit of low density commercial here too. It's almost like a little sports and activity hub, you know. There's some car parks in here, a little bit of gazebo parkland and park cafes. Plenty of park life assets, and we need to tidy up this as well. We do not agree with these. Like, I think I'm after more kind of these assets here, these like high-end shopping type things. And we've got a little bit of dead space here we can fill out. Throw in a couple of bigger trees here maybe. There we go, I think that'll be okay. Yeah, I think we'll just go with very obvious 4x4 patterns. So I think we'll run with some pretty big patterns here. Go with one right there. And again, what we'll do is, we don't just want zoning everywhere. We're after a little bit of park design too. Bring through quite a rigid path. And then we can just expand this little fence pattern that we've been running in this area. Kind of bring it up to there like that. And then include some of our old faithful green belt around here. We do actually merge into like the ring road's green belt, so probably sensible to continue that palette again. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot this episode, but welcome to the channel, everyone. Okay, so we'll let these move up a couple of levels. I know I can use Find It to place them, but we'll just wait. We'll just wait and see what happens. And we've actually got the perfect opportunity to repeat that sugar maple pattern too, either side here. Kind of like this. Yeah. It's a little bit of like a commercial waterfront, nothing too intense or crazy. And I think this will kind of expand out this ferry stop quite nicely. Of course, we're merging back into this green belt now here. That kind of flows along the ring road where all the rocks and overgrowth is, or undergrowth, depending on what mood I'm in. But yeah, what a big ferry port, that one. We'll head over to some of the downtown ones now, shall we? We shall. Absolutely, we'll have a ferry port That's going to arrive here because we now have this bunch of land because we're not going to hook the ring road in here anymore. So this is going to be kind of ideal for a ferry port. So the idea is that we'll draw a walking path over here, very much as we have done in this kind of fashion, you know, with these two. This one's a little busier. You know, we have these walkways for people to cross over. So say, for example, people coming from Dawson Waterfront, they can grab the ferry here and they can then take an elevated bridge which will cross them over into the parkland. Then from there, they can walk and grab the next ferry, which will take them over. The reason I'm not continuing the ferry line is because of the bridges here, especially this low bridge. So it's almost two separate ferry networks, but both are kind of very close to each other. So we'll start to add this one in along here now. Come ahead and grab, again, just a regular ferry stop while we're near the theme park. And too big. And we're going to have to slightly rework the entrance of this road a little bit and take away some of our detailing, which is fine. We'll come to road guideline. And then what we might do is, because we're not going to have any zoning down here, you know, it's not the right area or aesthetic, what we'll do is we'll just have this as like a little express route into the ring road. I think that would be quite nice. And I think we'll run with industrial roads for it again. There's just something about the industrial road. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. I really did lose my train of thought building this. It was that mind-blowing. You know, the little yellow bollards that they've got against them. I just think it's a nice little road asset for kind of merging on and off the ring road. It's almost like a mark, you know. If you see this, you know that the ring road is that way. Probably makes no sense. I'm probably not explaining that very well, but I hope you know what I mean. Okay, so we'll grab our ring road, get a little bit of a curve on, and then come down to here, grab ourselves a little highway ramps, and then we'll merge off like that, exactly how we did with the ferry stopover by the transport hub. We should see some people just choosing this option now as well. There you go, that's number one. Fortunately, it's a hearse, which is a little bit morbid, but you know, even hearses need ring road access. Okay, and then this will be the start of one of our new ferry lines here. So we do have the pedestrian crossings immediately opposite. So I'm going to run with a little bit of repeated path spice here. I think we'll go for with decorations. And we'll run with the amusement park ones because we're, again, near the theme park. And then we can just hook in like that. That'll be quite nice. Just we'll get a little bit of flooding just while things stabilise, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And then what I think we'll do is we'll almost like grab some oil fence and then run this parallel with the industrial road, almost as like, you know, no pedestrian access allowed beyond this point, because if you do, then you're going to be walking into like high speed traffic. So please don't do that. Let's bring it down to the bottom of the ring as far as we can. That should be quite nice. Of course, remembering those pallets that we've set for the area, we do have a little bit of repeated palm spice coming down here. So we can bring this back in as well. And then where we've lost our little park asset here, we'll just come in kind of generic for decorations and maybe a couple of colourful trees just to help differentiate the palm pattern that is very prevalent in this area. So I see some people walking around there, which will be really nice. Wonderful. So not really tethering any assets onto this one. It's a pretty simple one, just stop and get off. There's pathways if you want to walk up to it, and ring road access, which is already getting a ton of use, which is lovely. Thank you so much, appreciate that, really do. Okay, super simple and basic one, nothing overly spicy about that, but gonna do the job and it works in nicely with the rest of the theme park too, I think. Fantastic, wonderful. Let's carry on down the river. I would ideally like one here. I think this would be a good spot for a ferry stop this side of the river. Especially where we have the aviation club and the train station here. Although I think we are going to actually end up moving the aviation club to a different orientation. But I guess we'll see. The build for a different day. Okay. So we want to leave it a little bit away from... let's take out the cycle path, of course. Have to integrate the elevated cycle highway into this ferry stop, which will be fun. Okay. So go for maybe about there. Should be okay. Getting some slightly weird terraforming, but I don't mind that elevation. I think I can cope with it. So we'll absolutely sink the train tunnel here. It's just going to make it easier in the long run for traffic and whatnot, because eventually this line will be carrying cargo trains, so we want them to be pretty free and easy. Just allow the elevated cycle network here to connect into the ferry stop and people can carry on. We'll see how it affects the efficiency and the flow of the little elevated cycle ring here that runs this side of the river. Because it's not active just yet. If we don't like it, then we'll probably turn it into a tunnel. But for right now, just a really basic ferry stop. Ready to take people from this side of the river. Because we do have a train station here as well, so be an important little connection for them. But again, it's nothing overly complicated. It is just very similar to what we've done with the amusement part one. Which I think will be quite nice. I think it will. So now we want to kind of work on a grander downtown one, I guess. Something with a unique building tethered into it. And let's just draw out a big old chunk. The river's really wide here, so we shouldn't have to worry about kind of making it look too weird. Again, kind of push it all up to here. And then into here as well. Sorry, Ring Road. Rip the people that were in the tunnel at that point. If ever remembered. Okay, so I'll be right back, guys. That was quite the flood. It's washed people all over Palaven. Theme park is taking an absolute hammering, but it's fine. Fine. Ring Road is like submerged. It is clearing though. Like, all this was full with water a minute ago. Pretty wild. Okay, so we've got our little landmass here. Let's grab ourselves a fancy road, and we'll come down level with the keys. And then we'll maybe come down a touch further than that actually. Come out by, that should be okay. And then we are going to use the winter market here. Okay, so we'll squeeze the winter market in here. Finally. Finally we'll use it. Okay, so we want to kind of have a look at where our ferry port is going to sit here. We've been deprived of a lot of nighttime spice for this episode. We're just kind of seeing how Palaven floods at nighttime. It's pretty nice. Yeah, so we'll get some power into this, and then I think this will be a really nice addition to join this kind of downtown atmosphere, especially with this little run straight up to the courthouse and the stadium too. Should be okay. So I'll wait for the flooding to subside, and then we'll discuss a couple little designs for this space right here. We'll also get the ferry stop hooked up as well. And then we can have a discussion about detailing the ones that we've done, because I don't think it's really sensible to have another one right here, because we've got a lot of highway connections and stuff. The next one will probably come with the industrial port build, probably on this little section. But there's nothing here yet, and when we come to... Oh, this flooding too. Murky Coast is wild. Yeah, as we kind of build our chunky industry and airport stuff over down this end, we'll absolutely... I love that the ring road is like filled like a pond. Just absolutely flowing. Look at this. Like a canal now. Need to let it drain out slowly, but it will. Would have been a great way to actually turn it into like a sunken highway and put quays up alongside it. Well, no, actually, can we do that? Let's have a little look. A little look together. Yeah, we can actually draw in quays along the ring road here. Let's do that and leave one in and see what we think, and if it's worth doing again, then Then we can flood the ring road and actually have these keys remain. I guess let me know what you guys think of that. That could actually be quite a fun project. 100% a stream job, but yeah, a little flooded ring road. Nice. Yeah, so we'll wait for that to drain away. Slowly but surely. Palaven is flooding. Please ignore the absolute biblical floods, guys, but the little elevated cycleway is getting used now that we've hooked it in here. With people coming in and out of the downtown. How busy it is now. Yes, please, to elevated cycle highway. What a little treat. Wonderful. It just crosses over here now. And just comes down here. Nice to see it getting some use. And then down into the ferry stop, so it's still working, which is nice. Splendid. So I'm just going ahead and tidied up some of these keys here. We're a little bit kind of wonky and not quite straight and as nice as we like. But yeah, we now have a ring canal. It's no longer the ring road, just the ring canal now. So but you like it. Anyway, I'll be back when it's drained, and then we can detail up this stop. Decide on something to accompany the winter market, and then we can move into the detailing time lapse and tidy up all the ferry stops that we've worked on today. I'll speak to you guys in a moment. Okay, so finally, that took forever to drain away, but we're here, we're finally back. So I think we'll come through with some little park path with decorations, just to help link people through into the ferry stop. Well, the old faithful, while we're in the downtown. I believe it's very much conifers around here, isn't it? Yeah, this part of the downtown's all conifer. And it'll go nicely with the winter market as well, with its little conifer asset in there. So, we'll stick with the conifers. Have a little collection in our normal little boxed in style. Touch of undergrowth in there. And then a couple little bushes. And rocks. So because we're not going to connect the main road up to the actual ferry stop itself, we're just going to like centralize it against it. And that works as a nice little kind of point of decoration for the little winter market. I'm fairly happy with that. Okay. The ring road is still going, by the way. It's still hanging on. What do we think of the hypermarket here, guys? I'm actually quite a fan of this. Just the little car parking decals out front. Works in nicely as we kind of crawl in with these important assets like the stadium as we move up in the skyline. And I think it works quite nicely opposite the winter market as well. Like a little commercial centre. I think I'm a fan. I think I am. I think we'll go with it. I think I'm happy with that. Of course, we need to bring lots of detail in around this part and reinstate that repeated conifer pattern that is present in this part of the map. Basically all over the map at this point. And come through and tidy up again all this dirt and stuff. I've just been through and like dredged the bottom of the river as well, just so it's a lot deeper. You can kind of see the water's just taking a minute to find its composure again. But guys, that does feel like a good place to jump into a detailing time lapse. We're gonna go ahead and revisit the ferry stops that we built today in this part of the map, and of course tidy up kind of the main downtown ferry port here. People will enter in and out of Palaven via the new ferry network. So as always, we'll be right back. Okay guys, that is going to do it for today. If you have enjoyed the episode, a like below is always appreciated. As much if you haven't enjoyed it, please feel free to leave a dislike as well. Really happy with these ferry stops, and of course future builds that are along the river will include their own dedicated ferry stop, such as the airport and the industrial builds a little further down the river on our left hand side. But they're getting some pretty nice use. A lot of the ferries are full and people waiting at the stop, so probably need to even increase the number of ferries, and once the transport hub is active we'll definitely see that one over there get a lot more use as well once there's reason for people to actually visit that one. And yeah, I feel like I'm pretty happy with the way that we've used Palaven's rivers to kind of get people around, so it's really cute. That's to excuse the clashing between the ferries and the salmon boats near the marina, but welcome to Cities Skylines. And obviously these things should look tremendous at night time, so make sure you hang around and watch the outro tag as we kind of say goodbye here. But otherwise I will leave it there. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.